Good morning, my friend. I hope you are doing great wherever you are, and whenever this hits your ears, I hope that it's just going to be an amazing day for you. Lisa and I had a week that was mostly home. We were supposed to be in Auburn this week visiting our youngest daughter, and as the time came for us to go, it just became more and more apparent that we weren't going to be able to. There was just some stuff going on that we couldn't square away, and we needed to be here. And I was pretty frustrated. Have you ever seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life? You know, George Bailey, the main character in that movie. It's a great Christmas movie, by the way, but it's really a movie for all year round. It's about a guy who always feels like he's supposed to be somewhere else besides where he is. And his whole life, he's had all these plans and dreams, and he thinks he's supposed to go and do. And every time he thinks he's going to go, something happens and he has to stay in the little town where he is. And over time, he starts to feel bad about that, and he wonders what his life would be like if he wasn't there, or if he was somewhere else, or if he didn't exist at all. He doesn't see how important he is. And then something happens. If you've never seen it, I won't spoil it, but basically something happens, and he gets new eyes to see what the world would be like if he was not there. And he realizes ultimately that he's actually right exactly where he's supposed to be, that he's solving a unique problem and fulfilling a unique purpose, and it is actually a wonderful life right where he is. Well, that's kind of how it feels for us, Lisa and I. Having been in solo practice for so many years, there have just been innumerable times when we thought we were going to go to do this thing or go on vacation or go make this trip, and something happened with the practice, or a patient, or the ER called. And there was one time when we were actually driving to the airport in Atlanta to fly to the Netherlands, where I was supposed to give a talk, and then we were going to have a vacation for a few days in Europe. And literally right as we were pulling out of town, the emergency department called, and a good friend of ours, little boy, had a motorcycle wreck and had a head injury. And they said, hey, if you can come see him, he'll have a better chance. And we turned around. It was just like George Bailey and his wife were heading out of town for their honeymoon when the run on the bank happened in the movie, and they didn't go. They never ended up getting their honeymoon. And so we just, over the years, have had so many of those that we start to feel like, all we do is work, right? It starts to feel like everything's kind of piling up on you. But this week, something happened, and we had an opportunity to see one of those It's a Wonderful Life kind of moments. And it made me kind of think about some of the things Scripture has to say about where we are and what we do and how our days play out. And it's one of those opportunities to decide what you really believe. And, we talk about believing what the Lord says, and trusting His Word, and believing His promises. And sometimes you have to make a decision about whether you actually believe that or not, and it will help you reframe your thinking. And as we've talked about a million times, when you get your thinking right, then your heart gets right, you make better decisions, your brain chemistry improves, you start seeing things with a more hopeful view, you can find gratitude again, and everything gets happier. And you become more effective and healthier, and everything works out better if you can reframe your thinking. So the question for today is, when it starts to feel like life is not in your control, or when it starts to feel like you never get to do the things that you want to do, or that it's too hard, or that all you ever have to do is work, when you start to feel those overwhelming, stressful things, then sometimes you need to change them. But sometimes it's just you need to reframe your thinking. And I just want to share a couple scriptures with you. A really short story, 5 or 6 minutes, not going to take a lot of your time. But this is just one of those weeks where we had an opportunity to see something happening that you don't always get to see, why God has you in a place at a particular time, and whether you really believe Him or not. And, I think it's a good opportunity to open our eyes and see, you know what? It is a wonderful life. And we're going to start today. Hey, I'm so glad to have you listening. I'm Dr. Lee Warren, and I live in Nebraska in the United States of America, on the prettiest piece of property I've ever seen, with my incredible wife, the most beautiful and amazing woman I've ever seen, Lisa Warren, and the super pups, Harvey and Lewis, who are growing like crazy. I'm a neurosurgeon and an author, and I'm here to help you harness neuroscience, the power of your brain, faith, the power of your spirit, and good old common sense to help you lead a healthier, better, happier life. Listen, you can't change your life until you change your mind, and I'm here to help you learn the art of self-brain surgery. To get that done, you can get the show notes and more on my website at wleewarrenmd.com, and if you like the show, please subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share it with your friends. Hey, I'm Dr. Lee Warren, here to help you change your mind so you can change your life. Let's get after it. All right, like I said, we were thinking that we were going to get to go out of town and go see Kaylin. Hadn't seen her in a few months, and I really miss her. And we were going to go to Auburn and see some of our old friends and all of that. And it just became clear it wasn't going to happen. There were some patients who needed some attention. There was some stuff in the practice and some things around the house that were just going to have to be taken care of. And then as soon as I kind of obeyed that tug in our heart, and we just made a decision we're going to stick around. I got a phone call from the hospital, and there was a guy who needed kind of urgent surgery, so I was here to take care of that, and that was good. And then we went through the week, and there was just a lot of things. I had several consults and several things that occurred that I was needed here, and we got some stuff done that we needed to get done, and we also got some rest that we needed to get done. And so the week just kind of wasn't what we thought it was going to be. But I, trusted that the Lord was good, and we just knew that we were supposed to be here, and we had to make peace with that. And Jeremiah 29:11 says, "I know the plans I have for you," declares the Lord, "plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And so we take that verse and we say, okay, well, God's got a plan for us. It's not all about work. It's not all about labor and toil and all of those things. He has a plan, and someday He's going to reward us for being in the right place and doing good things for people and all of that. And then the Bible also says in Proverbs 19:21, "Many are plans in a man's heart, but the counsel of the Lord will stand. Commit your works to the Lord," Proverbs 16:3, "and your plans will be established." So, okay, we have plans, and God's going to reward them someday. But right now, we're just right where we need to be. Well, then it happened on Thursday. I got a phone call, and there was a person in our hospital who had an emergent, really, really, really emergent neurosurgical problem. And that individual would not have survived long enough to get to another hospital. Literally, if we hadn't been here, if our team hadn't been here, Alan, Kristen, and me, and the team in the operating room, if we hadn't been here in North Platte, Nebraska, this human being would not have survived long enough to get to another hospital. The way it lined up was they just happened to be driving through. They had a problem. They stopped at our hospital because they were driving past North Platte on the interstate, and lo and behold, there was a neurosurgeon here. And this guy, this individual, had maybe 2 hours of time, and they would not have survived. And we were here, and so we were able to take care of it. And it just became crystal clear that the reason all those plans, many are the plans of a man, but the Lord directs his step. All those plans we had made were blocked because God needed us to be here in this place at the time that other person needed me to be here. And it just became crystal clear, and I repented of my frustration of having thought that the plans were all about me. I just realized that, God said, "I know the plans I have for you, and they are to prosper you and not to harm you." And that doesn't always refer just to me, right? It refers to you. It refers to other people. And for this week, it referred to that other person. There was a plan that person was going to have a problem, and there was going to be a neurosurgeon in the town that they stopped in. You could draw up a 100-mile circle around North Platte, Nebraska. And in that 100-mile circle, there is one neurosurgeon. There's one hospital. Of all those little hospitals in Nebraska, there's one in this 100-mile circle that there happens to be a neurosurgeon. And if I had been in Auburn, Alabama, this individual would have died. And it's just that's the way it is. And so God opened my eyes and broke my heart, and I said, I'm sorry that I made it all about me. George Bailey had a wonderful life. Sometimes he just couldn't see it. Sometimes he just couldn't see it. So the question is, do we believe what God says? In Acts chapter 17, there's a sermon that Paul gives in Athens. And he talks about how God's got us where he intends for us to be. He says in Acts 17, starting in 26, he says, "From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out for their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so that they would seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us." Another version says he marked out the exact times and places that they would live. So the idea is that God, before he even made us, he knew where we were going to be, when we were going to be there, and what his plans and purposes for our lives were. There's another passage in Psalm 139, 15 through 17. "My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body." And listen to this, friend. "All the days of my life were written in your book before one of them came to be." So the question is, when you're frustrated, when you're stressed, when you say, why is it always so hard? Why does everything seem so difficult? Why am I having to be in this place at this time? The reason you're in this place at this time is because God intended for you to be. There's something for you to learn or to give. There's something for you to do or be able to have done. There's a purpose for you, a plan for you. Christine Kane often says, she's written some powerful books. One of the things that she said a few times in different ways that I've heard her is something to the effect of, just because it's happening to you does not mean that it's about you. Just because it's happening to you does not mean that it's about you. So let me just give you an opportunity to reframe your thinking, okay? If you're in a place that feels hard and feels stuck, start trying to open your eyes and look around and see how other people are benefiting from where you are and what you're doing. Now, don't hear me wrong. There's situations that you need to get out of, right? If you're in an abusive relationship, if you are in an addiction, if you are in an inappropriate relationship, those aren't what I'm talking about. The presupposition here is that if you're faithful and you're trying and you're praying and you're trying to do what's right, He's gonna honor your work. And he's going to put you where he needs you to be, and he's going to accomplish his plans through your life if your heart is willing to allow him to do so. But when it feels frustrating, and it will, there's times when life just feels so hard, and you just feel so stressed and overwhelmed. The secret to dealing with that is to ask God to show you, to give you opportunity to see why you're there, to give you a new heart and a new mind and new eyes on the situation. And here's one for me, Psalm 16:6. Lisa and I were standing in our backyard the other day, and we're looking, at the end of this tough week, and this week where we were frustrated because we didn't get to go and see our daughter and do the things that we wanted to do, and we had to be here, and we ended up just working all week, on a week that we thought we were going to get to have some downtime. And we're standing in the backyard, and I looked over, and the sun's kind of starting to set, and there's a golden light coming down the river, and it's hitting Lisa's hair just right, and she just took my breath away. And I saw the river in the background, and I saw an eagle fly by, and I just saw this incredible woman who has decided to spend her life at my side. And I thought of Psalm 16:6, and it says, "The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places." What a wonderful inheritance I have. I've got a great life. It's a wonderful life. I have beautiful friends, an amazing wife, an amazing family, 4 incredible living children, 3 children, in-laws, 2 sons-in-law and a daughter-in-law that I love dearly, 4 amazing grandchildren, a beautiful family, and this incredible wife. And I've got a job where I literally get to put my hands on people and relieve them of pain and sometimes save their lives. It's incredible. Like, nobody gets to do that, right? The boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. The scales fell off my eyes, friend. I'm telling you, I was having a little pity party, and God delivered me from it. And we got to save this person's life. And the rest of their life, when they go on to do whatever they do in their life, it's going to be because we were in North Platte, Nebraska at the time that they needed us. Now, God would have provided for that person some other way, if we hadn't been here. But he moved all those chess pieces around a year ago when we were wondering why we were being called to North Platte, Nebraska. I'm telling you, we were called here to save that life a couple of days ago. That's why. And it just gave me this incredible sense of peace that God really does have a plan, and he really does have a purpose, and it is a wonderful life. He put us right where he needed us to be to serve somebody else. And that's what I would just leave you with today. there is a plan and a purpose. Job 42:2 said, I know that you can do all things and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. God's plan will prevail, friend. And if you get to be part of it, then that's a blessing for you. When I get to do something that's in line with God's plan, it's an incredible honor, right? So I wanted to share that with you today. I had an opportunity to see my own life from a different set of lenses this week. And now I get to look at my wife and look at this piece of land and look at these two crazy puppies. And I get to say, you know what? God's got me exactly where he wants me to be. This week, I fulfilled my purpose in him. I was in the right place at the right time. And it was incredible. And so when you feel frustrated, when you feel stressed, when you wonder why it's all so hard, just ask God to give you a little grace of understanding why you're in a particular spot at a particular time. Psalm 18:30 says, as for God, his way is blameless. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a shield to all who take refuge in him. His way is blameless, friend. If he's got you in a place and has a purpose for you, and you submit to him, that will always work out in your benefit. It is a wonderful life. The only thing you have to do when it gets hard is reframe your thinking just a little bit and understand what important power, purpose, plan, and presence God has for you. And also that you must, my friend, you must start today. Hey, thanks for listening. The Dr. Lee Warren podcast is listener supported. Check out patron.podbean.com/Dr. Lee Warren, patron.podbean.com/Dr. Lee Warren. Patrons and partners get free books, transcripts, special patron-only episodes, and more. There's a massive library of episodes that only the patrons have access to. So if you love the podcast and you want more, there's over 100 episodes in the patron program that you can't hear unless you're one of the patrons. Please subscribe to the show so you automatically get every episode. And go to my website, wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter to connect to this great community of people all over the world. There is so much depth inside that community that you have access to only through the newsletter. Every Sunday since 2014, I'm giving you my best prescriptions for self-brain surgery to change your mind and change your life. wleewarrenmd.com/newsletter. Hey, the theme music for the show is Water into Wine by Tommy Walker. My friend Tommy Walker and the great people at TommyWalkerMinistries.org, providing worship resources for free all over the world. Consider helping them. Check out their amazing website, TommyWalkerMinistries.org, TommyWalkerMinistries.org. Hey, if you need prayer, connect to the prayer wall, wleewarrenmd.com/prayer. There's a growing community of people all over the world praying for each other, with each other, and it's just an amazing way to bear one another's burdens. Check it out, Tommy, right here. Go. I love that lick. Hey, you can't change your life until you change your mind. You have to start today. I'm Dr. Lee Warren. I will talk to you soon. It's a wonderful life, my friend. God bless you. Have a great day.